Welcome to Masters of Luxury. With experience of over 35 years, Anurag Bhatnagar, the CEO of the Leela Palaces Hotels and Resorts, is one of the most respected names in Indian hospitality today. With an acute business acumen, Anurag has led and worked with some of the world's most prestigious Indian and international hotel brands, including the Oberoi Group, Starwood Hotels, Marriott International, until he joined the Leela in 2020. With an unwavering commitment to delivering bespoke guest experiences, Anurag defines Indian hospitality at its best. As an iconic hospitality brand that you're leading, which is the Leela Palaces, Hotels and Resorts, how do you think your brand stands out from all the other competing brands which are Indian make in luxury hospitality?
Leela has a 4-decade legacy of having singular focus on luxury hospitality. So if you start with, that's the biggest differentiation. Everything that we do, whether it's creating of the real estate or the palaces, the aesthetics that go around it, the quality of the asset itself, iconic locations, extremely hard to replicate product to start with as a foundation. That's the first part. Secondly, the soft side of luxury, which is more experiential, more intuitive, more thought through and detailed out. That is the biggest differentiation. Today, if you look at a matrix today, Leela has a net promoter score of 86, which is amongst the highest in the world. And if you look at all the other people who are in this space, they are hovering between 76 to 82. So that in itself, and this is the voice of a customer through 850 touch points. And many of these touch points are brand touch points and emotional touch points. Like, how does this service make you feel as a customer, as a guest? So the question is not what you got served or what was unfortunately missed. The question is, how did it make you feel as a client and a customer of Leela? Would you want to come again? So it's a very, very important matrix for us. Thirdly, the third biggest differentiation is our people. There has been, you have the real estate, you have the processes, and you have the culture is the most important thing, because culture is something that we have created in the Leela. We have refined it over the last 5-6 years. We have institutionalized it, whether starting from hiring of the right talent with the right orientation and the right, what we call the DNA. And people who take pleasure in service. It's like literally not a jargonized, but like serve from within, serve from the soul. And the credo that we have always used, I know it's often used by many others as well, like Atithi Deva Bhava. But we live it. So as a culture, we have the Leela Dharma. It's well laid out and articulated, and everybody, an associate who comes, starts his or her innings at the Leela, all the way to our general managers and our corporate leadership, everyone, we live and breathe by the Leela Dharma. That's what defines what we do. So a combination of amazing locations, iconic palaces, amazing asset quality and experiential ecosystem, processes, programming, and the people. This is what kind of differentiates Leela today, and it's pretty evident in the results which are now in the public domain.
You mentioned something about one of your top priorities when it comes to this brand is the feeling that you leave behind. As someone with such astute business acumen, you've been in the industry for over 35 years. As someone who's leading this brand from the top right now for the last 5 years and more, actually, how do you balance all of this, when it comes to, because it's really a fine balance of business, interpersonal skills, and then developing a product which is timeless. How do you handle that?
Very, very interesting question. So balancing the product, I would say, is relatively easier because you have a bit of a design intent. You know what your service program and the service design is eventually going to be. How is it going to create value through experiences and programming for your guests? Although it's an art and a science, but getting that algorithm is relatively easier compared to creating, like I said, the ecosystem of and the culture of luxury service and experiences, the soft skills, the intuitive, the listening skills, the ability to anticipate the needs. So I give you an example. Like, we have this Leela Palace Services, which is something that we introduced in 2023, just after COVID. It's an institutionalized service program that we have where every guest gets to experience the Leela Palace Services through at least minimum 8 touch points, which are high impact touch points. It could be your welcome amenity. It could be packing or unpacking if you choose to. It could be bringing your favorite beverage amenity in the evening. It could be smaller things like unplugging and ensuring that all your devices are charged, ensuring that you participate in the Leela ceremonial ritual in the evening where you get to experience the culture of the city, the cuisine of the city in the evening, or a fond farewell. All of these are SOP backed. Now this creates a lasting, lingering memory to the extent our palace service associates have become like front end of a brand ambassadorship. There are guests who reach out to them for bookings and all of that. That in itself leads to repeat customers and repeat clients. That in itself allows us the ability to premiumization and exercise a pricing power. Correlation of that is the commercial success. So you get the asset right, you get the experience and the services and the programming right through people, of course. The byproduct of that, the output of that, is the commercial success. And I think it's very true, because if you would try to reverse the order,
it will be very difficult.
It's going to be very difficult, because if you believe that there is a demand and supply opportunity which is there in India, specifically on the luxury side, and you try to monetize or capitalize on this opportunity, it's a very short-term gain. You're not creating value, you're not creating trust. So it's very, very important that you get your foundations, the first principles. You get the first principles, and this is something that we have inherited, and I'm a big fan and a follower of so many iconic hoteliers who have, legendary.
Tell me a little bit about them. I mean, that was actually going to be one of my questions, that who are the people who've inspired you in hospitality over the years?
So if I started my innings in Oberoi Hotels, so of course Mr. PRS Oberoi. So I observed him from a distance because I was obviously not in the inner circles, but I definitely saw, and so many things that he did, the detailing, the passion, the commitment to excellence, and absolutely non-negotiable when it comes to brilliance and standards. That's something that I can relate to so much more now than I did then. There's a life stage when you realize that the why behind the what. So that's come now. The other person I unfortunately never had the opportunity of meeting, but we have inherited his legacy, is Captain Nair. And every time I walk into any palace, any asset, including where we are sitting today, the effort, the detailing, the authenticity, the craftsmanship of not just the real assets, but also through service design, it's so hard to replicate. So one of the things that I keep challenging myself and the rest of the teams is that we are walking in the shadows of giants, and we need to ensure that everything that we do is Leela-like. So, with absolutely no compromise on quality, standards, and authenticity.
The one key takeaway that I get from this conversation that we've had so far is that people will always be a big asset for you and for the group at large. And then simultaneously, we talk about this whole influx of AI in hospitality. What are your thoughts on it? Because I think hospitality is a very people-forward service, a people-forward service industry. How do you see this, evolving in the next few years with the influx of technology, the way it is coming with full force? At a leadership level, as someone who's heading, a luxury hospitality brand in a 1.4 billion population country, what is your take on that?
My take is, on the luxury segment, a people-first approach will always be there. It is, hospitality in general is a very high-touch business. Technology is going to be an enabler, especially the AI. Technology can help you simplify and fast-track many of those mundane, repeatable processes and deliver a solution which can be qualitative, better solution, and remove a lot of flack from there. And so whilst we are adopting technology, primary focus has been developing the people skills, hiring for culture, hiring for literally the hospitality luxury DNA, ensuring that we institutionalize our training, upskilling programs across all levels to ensure that we have this people forward approach. So when we go to campuses, we are hiring on a persona, and literally not just basically on skills, but to ensure that do you have it in you to be a luxury hotelier in the future? Do you have that kind of a cultural thing that you can represent the brand Leela in the future? Then we have a very popular management training program, the Leela Leadership Development Program, where we literally are grooming and mentoring and developing the future general managers in the country, especially in Leela. Then for our existing middle management and senior leaderships, we have a lead program, Leela Executive Education Program, where we make sure our GMs of the future are future forward, they are future ready, they understand technology. So technology is not scaring them like it scared me earlier, right? They have access not just to technology, but they are able to adopt technology and AI to make their day job simpler so that it frees them up to do what really matters. We don't want people to be sitting only on laptops and
So
looking
we
at.
won't see robotic Leela representatives in the future. Is that what you're saying?
You would see a more organized, systematic, and seamless experiences, which you can see are backed by technology. For instance, the ERC members only club that we have. It's going to be one of its kind, and it's a proprietary product that we have created, which not just captures your all the interactions that you may have with the hotel, but also curated and crafted to include all your personal likes and your preferences, so that if you were to arrive at one of our ERC clubs, we would know everything that you want us to know about you in terms of your preferences. And that's what we are trying to refine: intuitive and anticipatory service. Intuitive.
So it's basically personalization. It's like you're coming back home.
Yes, absolutely. So that warmth feeling, and it should not seem transactional. Like I said earlier, the commercial outcome, the ability to command those kind of pricing, it's an outcome, because value creation is something that we are always at. You should, as a guest, always feel valued, recognized, taken care of, coming home, comfortable.
And I think also as Indian customers, I don't think we shy away from paying, but it's also about getting the right value. So I think that's how we work.
Where we are using AI, and we have started that from last year, is a lot on the outreach side. It helps us refine our marketing, our CRMs. Where do we go to it? It helps us refine and qualify the business that comes to us through inbound channels, and it also through our website. It helps us kind of narrow down the funnel and make it more focused. And we're also using in finance now through our reporting structures. And recently we have started using AI as a pilot in recruitment. What it does is it kind of removes what could potentially become a bit of a recruitment bias sometimes. What AI gives us, it gives us a very, very specific, and it's very, very advanced, and like we're also learning it. It's a pilot, like I said earlier. If it works out very well for us, then we'll try to amplify and scale it. Again, not removing the human interaction. It's like the final rounds will always be held
it's like
through
a filtration process.
It's like a filtration process.
Like a filtration process. Coming to the expansion plans of Leela, you've from 17 now to almost doubling, the expansion of the brand. Tell me what's in store for 2026. You are getting into branded residences as well, and that seems to be the flavor of the season in real estate, luxury branded residences. Tell us a little bit more on that front.
Sure. So as you said correctly, from 8 hotels in 2019, we have 23 hotels now, out of which 13 are operational. We should have at the minimum 2 openings in 2026, which includes the branded luxury residences. If you again see India, look at the major cities, the attention and the interest that lies in India with all the positive macroeconomic indicators, the growth of our GDP, India as a global hub for GCCs with so much of interest in terms of technology, import and export. So we believe these branded luxury residences have a very long runway in major metro cities in India for business travelers and people who are coming to India for maybe 1 or 2 years on projects to create value for their organizations.
Long-term stays.
Long-term stays. And this is a grossly underserved market as well. Luxury in India overall today, if you compare with anywhere else in Asia Pacific, if you look at Middle East, there was a report that I was reading earlier that there are only 27 or 26 keys of luxury per million capita, which is like, 1/10 of what you would have, let's say, in Thailand or probably in Dubai. So it's grossly underserved. In India today, there are just around 20,000 luxury keys in India, which include 3,500 keys of Leela. So there's a long runway ahead. In the sub-segment of branded luxury residences, it's even more because there are no really structured, organized players in this segment, and we literally want to develop. But again, it would be a feeling of a home with all the trappings of a luxury stay, what you would experience in a luxury, and the ability to transition into a resort-like feel over the weekend.
But are these residences always going to be attached to a Leela hotel or a palace, or could it also be independent?
Could be independent. The first one that we are opening in Mumbai is attached to a very massive and a very well placed commercial real estate building, and adjacent to a 6 acre of club that we are launching. So you have a live, play, work kind of an ecosystem. You can walk to work as in 50 steps and you are into your workspace.
Where is this?
This is coming in Andheri. And so you have a club attached to it where you can party, you can swim, you can play your favorite sports and work out and do all of that. And then you have a beautiful residence which is fully serviced with the Leela brand of service. So the branded service programs that we are using for our hotels, we are even extending them to our luxury residences. So as a Leela guest, what you would experience at a Leela Palace, New Delhi or Bangalore, you would experience the same level of service, the palace services, the ceremonial rituals, our amenities, and everything about Leela nothing is off the shelf. Everything we have crafted and curated and made it very, very bespoke. You're going to experience all of that in the residences as well.
You've kind of, during your tenure, you started with the Leela in 2020. You've kind of introduced, it's sort of like a soft diversification, so to speak. So whether it's your wellness program with Ajasya, whether it's a brand like Tishya, or even your, Icons of India campaign, tell me a little bit about the thought process that went behind each of these signature offerings that Leela as a brand has come out with in the market. I mean, of course, with Ajasya, wellness is, I think, a very, very important segment for the category of customers that you're speaking to. But tell us a little bit about the thought behind each of these, signature projects that you're doing.
So, the thought behind all of this was, how do we extend a brand while staying true to what it really offers? While staying true to the authenticity, to the passion. Luxury is not what you speak, luxury is what your guests feel. That's the thought process. What you experience as a guest. So this was the overarching thought process. So when you spoke about Tishya, we went to a partner. We and our teams worked very closely. The flowers were chosen, the process was refined to ensure that we have our own homegrown brand for amenities, Tishya, which is Kumud and Nilgiri flowers that we are using. One of them blossoms once in 12 years. That level of detail. Ajasya is a well-being program. It's about overall wellness. The first pillar of nutrition. And we worked very closely with a food scientist who absolutely put together, and my take, since I am a so-called foodie, was look, it's got to be healthy, but it should be good looking and appealing and tasty. We don't want punishment.
You don't want to suffer.
Yeah,
to eat
absolutely.
Right.
We don't, absolutely, yeah. And that has got such a phenomenal response to the extent we now have a version of Ajasya for our corporate travelers. People who travel for a day and a half, and you have those late nights meetings and you end up having a drink or two, and then you have this guilt feeling, look, I couldn't go for my workout and all that stuff. So Ajasya for a corporate traveler, we just launched its version in Leela Palace, Bangalore, which has the highest propensity of corporate travel. Nearly 70% of our clients are corporate clients, whether Indian or international. So it's working extremely well with them. We literally take care of your life. So from the time you get up, you will have your herbal tea, which is again made for you. Because, if you have a certain condition that we know you have, what's going to help for you, without asking literally. Your breakfast would be made in a certain style, in a certain way, with a certain ingredients. Likewise, your lunch. Even if it means you're going for a meeting, we'll give you a takeaway box, which will have what you should eat. Literally like having your chef follow you everywhere with the meals that work for you, and yet they're healthy. And you can have this guilt-free experience, including desserts. So it's about portion control, it's about the right ingredients. So that's something that thought process was, if you take a step back, what is a luxury experience? Is to give you freedom, give you time, take away some of the decisions. We want to take those decisions for you if you trust us. And we do a great job, which we are hopefully doing because of our net promoter score that I mentioned to you. We are creating that experience. And some of the feedback that, and I read almost every feedback, is that how our guests feel because they felt so comfortable that they left this decision because I am arriving, you take care, you do the rest. And they said, wow. So how are we able to scale it and replicate it so that they can do the same in their house as well? So this was the thought process for everything that we have done. The ceremonial rituals that we created, the icons of India was, Leela today is globally recognized. It's been awarded as one of the finest luxury brands repeatedly. Just this year, there have been more than 80 acknowledgements and awards that the brand has won, including our individual assets and properties and palaces. But the thought was that how do we take this kind of aura that we have been able to build as a brand to make it more meaningful across various touch points that a guest can feel. So it's beyond just having the best palaces and the iconic real estate. It was also about creating those experiences.
I often hear this, that Indian guests can be difficult, and it's kind of a globally
Misconception.
it's a misconception. It's a moniker that you live with, and
Yeah,
I think.
yeah.
But tell me something. For you, in the last, say, 30 years that you've been in the luxury hospitality industry, how do you think the Indian luxury consumer has changed or evolved? Or has there been any change at all? Or is it just a different packaging? What's your take?
Massive change. I would say in my 30 years, I've seen massive change, generational shifts in their consumption patterns, in their interactions with the hotels. I think they are very evolved, very exposed, well traveled. Indian guests, I would say, are some of the most refined guests that we have globally, because they know exactly what they want, how they want. India as a country today, there's an explosion of the luxury market. I believe, we are at a start of a multi-decadal cycle in terms of luxury goods, consumption and experience and services, and hospitality sits at the core, and Leela sits at the top of that fact with all humility. So the Indian guest today, and even when they travel internationally, they're extremely clear about where they want to stay, what value. They are value seekers, no doubt, but also more experience seekers. Today, if you look at how we have evolved our hotels, we have reinvigorated all our wellness offerings. Our Ojasya is now getting extended to our wellness spaces. We have created our products for multi-generational travelers. We are expanding our kids facilities to ensure when you travel with kids and nannies and all that, you have the kids facilities that can take care of everything. There's a lot of focus on creating experiences that benefit our length of stay. Again, it has a commercial outcome, but again, we are creating value, bringing experiences that money can't buy, and where we have insider access. The Club was all about those privileges and insider access. So Indian travelers today are extremely nuanced. Let me give you an example. Last year, did you get to experience the at Pichola in Udaipur? Did you?
Unfortunately not, because both were occupied.
Oh, exactly.
Actually, all three were occupied.
So, that's the product. When we launched this product, was literally creating a Leela Palace reserve in the Leela Palace Udaipur. It's on Lake Pichola, just 4 villas. You can literally, from the time you arrive at the airport, you can only be in that palace ecosystem. Coming through a private boat, you have your own historian who tells you the history of Udaipur and the lake and everything that's happening there. Have your personalized butler, your own chef, your own spa therapist, your own housekeeping, and your mixologist and sommelier. You can literally have this whole experience without having to literally connect with the rest of the hotel. Our guests do, but then that product at $3,500 today, we did a 57% occupancy for the month of November. So there you see how India is growing, experiencing, and the Indian customers. So they're not difficult. They're discerning. That's the shift that they're discerning. They research. They look you up before they travel. And we have multi-generations traveling. So, literally with grandparents and all coming in. So yeah, we see that.
This might be a little bit of a difficult and, not to put you in a spot or anything like that. But tell me about you are an avid traveler, you've traveled the world, that one hotel experience that has really stood out for you outside the Leela ecosphere.
Okay, so interesting ones. Let me think through. There actually have been two, both of them in Asia Pacific. One was at the Mandarin Oriental in Thailand many years back, wherein from the time I arrived at the hotel, and I was a freshly minted general manager in those days, my first general management assignment, and I went there for an exposure, so to speak, to get some global exposure. And the way, the detailing, the smiles, the passion, the knowledge of the associates, their outfits, and the pride they exemplified through this service was amazing. And the whole experience when they take you to your spa and all of that, that was amazing. That has had a very big impact on me, and I always relate to it. The other one was at the Ritz-Carlton in, like you said, outside of Leela, the Ritz-Carlton in Singapore. The earlier, when it was the Ritz-Carlton Millenia, and that again, the quality, the finesse, the shine, like everything that should have been shining was shining. If I had a glossometer, which I didn't even know existed, it would have been in the high 90s. Yeah, now it does, and that's something I look out for every time when I travel. Every associate, their outfits, their grooming, again, their ability to communicate, and the genuine warmth. So they didn't even know me. I mean, I had just gone to meet someone, and I was supposed to go through some kind of exposure and some training in that hotel. But the way I was taken care of, the choice of teas that I was offered to me, I'm talking about this is like more than 20 years back or 22 years back. That told me that this is a global benchmark of ultra luxury hospitality and some of these experiences. Of course, during my travels on the resort side, I've seen some amazing experiences and how some simple things can make you feel. So it's not always about the glitzy and the the top notch. It's also some simple things that make you feel like how a small ritual where people really care. So it's ultimately how you make people feel that really stands up.
How would you, as a luxury hotelier yourself, Anurag, how do you define luxury?
I think it's creating freedom of time and making choices without being intrusive. It's all about anticipation and trying to be, brilliant on basics is a given. So when you
It's
are
hygiene check.
It's hygiene. You have to be brilliant. It can't just be it can't be an 8 on 10. So your minimum bar of everything that you deliver is the quality of your coffee, the croissant that you have for breakfast, the orange juice that's served to you. Those basics, the rooms, everything, technology that goes into the room. That's the basic, It's also about space, not just the physical space, the space for you to be your best version. How to take away the so-called irritants, how to remove the questions. Like, I shouldn't have to ask you 5 questions to serve you something that, you probably need. I should probably try to get it maybe in less than a question. Anticipatory service, which when practiced frequently becomes intuitive service. It doesn't have to be only for the regulars whom you know. If you are able to craft that even for a first time guest, if I know about you, if I have done my homework to understand where you come from. And today, because of social media, literally we know almost everything about everyone. Your likes, your preferences, all of that. Is the effort that you make even before you have your first interaction. To me, that's true luxury. It goes beyond.
So I think from what I understand, as a manager, you put a lot of emphasis on intuition and really developing the intuitive skills, which I think is very important in hospitality.
Yes, absolutely.
People talk about experiential luxury. It's kind of become like
Cliched.
this cliche, mainstream phrase. What is experiential luxury?
To me, it's like what you can do which is not really available off the shelf, and it doesn't have to be ultra differentiated as well. It's like, let's say if you go to Jaipur, visiting the city palace is in everyone's bucket list. A nice, good travel trade partner can organize it for you. But having a high tea in the innermost courtyard of His Royal Highness and possibly bumping into the royal family, that's an experience. That's not available on any brochure. Going to a leopard safari, but ensuring that when you go to the leopard safari, you are taken to a key vantage point in the jungle, ensuring that you have eco-friendly, absolutely sustainable some beverages to go along with you, with a naturalist who can talk you through the experience and spending time with you, telling you where and how. That is an experience. So, to me, creating experiences is not just picking a few from everyone's bucket list and putting them out there because they are available. To me, it's all about, like we did something in Jaipur. We started with Jaipur. We set up, from the villages, we got the local dancers, the local cuisine, the food that they make in their villages and the house, and brought that up as a part of our ceremonial rituals in Leela Palace, Jaipur. So that's something that if you were to experience it as a guest, you would probably have to spend 4 nights in Jaipur, travel to maybe 5 different places to experience that. So bringing it to that so that you stay back in the evening, experience the ceremonial ritual, then it's quite likely that you're going to experience one of our F&B off. I mean, these are experiences.
How do you handle, or what would be your advice on handling an upset guest?
I come from hardcore ops background, being a GM like 5 or 6 times around and various properties and all of that. So there's something, let's say, par for the course, right? So first, I think it's very, very important to understand why is the guest upset. It starts with listening intently. To me, 60-70% of the problem is solved if you do active listening without becoming defensive, without starting over justification, and without finding a solution when all the guest wants is please listen to what I'm saying, and looking at the why, because our guests are extremely important and aware and intelligent. Fortunately for us, it's a very rare occasion. But yes, in my past life, I have handled some situations like that more than I get called in these days. But they know exactly what could have been done different and better. So it's very, very important to make sure that on the basics, you're brilliant all the time. It's a zero-sum game in the sense you can't have, I'll be brilliant 9 of the 10 times, but the 10th time the ball will drop. No, it can't happen. There are 850 touch points. You have to get to 850 touch points and make sure you're brilliant on them. So Upset guests usually, unless they are, and those are very rare occasions where a guest is just seeking some value and all that. Mostly it's about something, and my experience has been that it is not usually the thing that didn't go up to their satisfaction. It's how, again, they didn't feel valued, or response was not adequate, or response was not on time, and nobody really heard them with intent. And
I think it's treatment.
It's treatment. And I tell you from my personal experience, one story that there was in my past life, in one of my hotels where I was a general manager, there was a guest who was having a wedding celebration event for his daughter, and something was not going as per his plan and all of that stuff. So when I eventually sat him down and I called in my chef and other people, in that half an hour, seriously, I learned so much about my business from a consumer lens. And it also gives you an ability to put yourself in their shoes, which is something would be my advice to all aspiring hoteliers. Don't just start becoming defensive. Put yourself in the guest shoes. They are paying $350 a night. They're staying in your asset. They are staying for probably 2 nights. They're here probably for work or for leisure. Our job is to enhance value, make them feel better than when they arrived. It's all about first listen first and then offer a solution.
That one milestone achievement in your 35-year career that is closest to your heart till date.
Closest and till date, and the most recent has been our listing at the IPO. The journey was over a year. There were so many learnings. There were literally sleepless nights for the team.
What was your key takeaway from that experience?
Firstly, you start looking at your business from a different lens. That's very, very important because sometimes we are so close to, we are always zooming in. You require to zoom out at time. Then you need to be more strategic about your value creation, because then you're creating value for all stakeholders, because that becomes like your biggest enabler for you. Because when you have public currency supporting your strategic plans, it just makes your runway easier. The third takeaway is the importance of understanding what really matters. It's like, so when we all like to talk about experiences and programming, and to your first question, all of that has a correlation to a commercial output. You talk about people, and when everybody talks about people, and how much you invest in your talent, because it's your talent that gets you the results ultimately, whether on the guest side or on sales, marketing, commercials. So IPO was really looking at how you create returns on not just the capital employed, but also returns on the time that you invest on everything that you do on your business.
I'm just going to quickly wrap this up. 3 travel destinations that you would recommend to every traveler.
Okay, one, definitely, if you haven't done it yet, would be the Maasai in Africa. Second would be Vienna as a city and as a country. And third, in India, I would always say Kashmir, Srinagar. There's just so much out there, and I have, even for my college time, I've been going there. And now we have a beautiful hotel coming up there on the Dal Lake. So that's a must-visit destination, I would say. Just wait up for 18 months. We'll have one of the finest hotels in the country and possibly in South Asia coming up soon. As on the Dal Lake, it's 13 acres. Every room has the lake view and the mountains. And we are coming up with a beautiful food and beverage programming across the assets, and a fireplace. It's going to be really amazing.
My last question for this chat, Anurag, if there's one quote or maybe one book, anything that you kind of always fall back on at a personal or professional level, what would that be?
Well, there was a time when I was a very avid reader and read a lot of books. Some books that have really influenced me a little bit more on the spiritual side, I would say, one was Autobiography of a Yogi. Yeah, so absolutely. Of late, I've started dabbling with the Bhagavad Gita on the outskirts of it. I attend a session every week, not in terms of a spiritual entertainment, just trying to get some. That's what a Guruji says sometimes, the people like us who get into it. But on the corporate side, I've always enjoyed falling back. And this book influenced me, like it was very popular book called You Can Win by Shiv Khera. Very simple, very straightforward, not too many jargons. For someone like me, simplicity matters. So that's the book, coming to the point in a very short sentence and yet having time to reflect over it. So these are some of the books. The other book that has always impacted me, and I go back to it, is Catch-22. Correlates to many things that happens to our life even today by Joseph Heller, and many such books have.